beneath the vaulted ceilings of a lavish hall, where every glass of champagne caught the glimmer of crystal chandeliers, they awaited their shining moment, a celebration of love built on lies. He was supposed to be broken, erased from the family portrait, betrayed by his wife and brother, discarded by parents whose pride had a price. But he returned, not with screams, not with vengeance, with facts. Dressed in a flawless suit and icy composure, every guest became witness not to a celebration, but to a reckoning. He raised his glass not in honor of the happy couple, but in tribute to the truth they had hidden behind counterfeit smiles. And when the silence in the room turned into a roar of scandal, he walked out, alone, but free. Behind him, their carefully crafted illusion crumbled. Because sometimes to win, you don't need to shout the loudest. You just need to show up at the right moment and say what no one else dares to. Greetings, my dear friend. I am very happy that you are watching my video, and I will be even happier if you subscribe to my channel. This will make me even happier. Let's get started. I never imagined that I would find myself here, sharing such a deeply personal story with strangers. Yet, circumstances have led me to this point. I apologize in advance for the length of what I am about to share. But I need to unburden myself. Perhaps someone who has faced something similar can offer insight, or maybe my experience will bring clarity to someone else. 3 years ago, the nightmare began. Back when I was still married to Ariana. We had been together since our sophomore year in college, almost 12 years, building a life that I thought was solid. We navigated the trials of early adulthood, scraping by in the aftermath of college, weathering the crushing weight of my medical school debt, enduring her career shifts, and even surviving the heartbreak of a miscarriage that nearly tore us apart. But what we couldn't survive was my own brother. To truly understand the chaos that unfolded, it is crucial to grasp the dynamics of my family. I am the eldest, while my younger brother Ashton, now 33, has always been the favored one. In our parents' eyes, especially my father's, Ashton could do no wrong. He was celebrated, indulged, and shielded, while I was the responsible one, constantly struggling for a sliver of recognition. While I battled my way through medical school, accumulating $28,000 in student debt and grinding through 80-hour weeks, my parents offered only a token congratulatory text. In stark contrast, when Ashton finally graduated after 6 years of partying with a lackluster 2.4 GPA, they threw him a massive celebration and even gifted him a brand new BMW. This was my reality, always striving, always achieving, but forever overshadowed. When I managed to purchase my first home entirely on my own, my parents visited, criticized the neighborhood, and questioned why I hadn't chosen somewhere better. Just 2 months later, they co-signed for Ashton's condo in an upscale area and even covered his down payment. Despite the blatant favoritism, I still tried to maintain a relationship with Ashton. After all, he was my brother, and I naively clung to the idea that family mattered. I failed to see the betrayal unfolding right in front of me. One Thanksgiving, after enduring a grueling 36-hour hospital shift, I arrived exhausted. Ashton showed up 2 hours late, citing traffic. Rather than reproach him, my mother kept his food warm and fussed over him, while she had earlier criticized me for looking disheveled, not understanding that I had come straight from saving lives in the ER. The disparity wasn't lost on others. My cousin Monica once pulled me aside during a family gathering, whispering, "It's like you become invisible whenever Ashton is around." She was right. At my grandfather's funeral, my eulogy was rushed, despite me being the only grandchild to follow in his medical footsteps, while Ashton was given 10 minutes to ramble about 2 fishing trips. Ariana entered my life during college, a bright light in a world that often felt overshadowed. She was sharp, ambitious, and had a laugh that could transform any room. She was pursuing marketing while I was pre-med. Our bond was instant, and by our senior year, we were living together in a cramped, run-down apartment, sharing cheap meals and dreaming of a better future. I can still picture the leaky bathroom ceiling we couldn't afford to fix, turning it into a game with plastic sheets and buckets instead of a burden. But my parents never fully accepted Ariana. Her working-class background, her father a plumber, her mother a school secretary, didn't align with their expectations. My mother's subtle criticisms of her clothes or her accent were constant reminders that she didn't fit their image. Reflecting on it now, I see that they always envisioned me marrying someone from their social circle. We married when I was 28 and Ariana was 26, right after I finished medical school and began my residency. Our wedding was modest, mostly funded by us. My parents contributed just $500, a fact my mother made sure to highlight in her speech. We would have liked to do more, but we're saving for Ashton's future. They had already earmarked $75,000 for his wedding, even though he was single. At the reception, my father's toast was more about Ashton's recent job offer than about our marriage. And while we celebrate Wesley finding his match, we are proud to announce that Ashton has secured a position at Mary Lynch with an impressive signing bonus. Ariana's fingers tightened around mine beneath the table, a quiet show of support as I swallowed the hurt. Yet despite everything, those first 5 years of our marriage were genuinely happy. I balanced the chaos of being a medical resident and then an ER physician, while Ariana steadily advanced in digital marketing, reaching a managerial position. Together, we bought our first home, a modest, comfortable 4-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. We even talked about trying for a baby again, hoping to heal the wound left by our previous loss. We had rituals that kept us close, even amid my erratic schedule. Sunday mornings were sacred. We always made breakfast together and went for a walk in the nearby park. Every other Wednesday was date night, and Ariana would tuck little notes into my lunch, filled with jokes or words of encouragement. I truly believed we were unbreakable. I was wrong. Ashton's appearances gradually became a constant presence in our lives. What initially seemed like a coincidence, his new apartment being a mere 15-minute drive from our home, despite being 40 minutes from his workplace, evolved into something more. He began arriving without notice, his visits aligning suspiciously with my night shifts at the hospital. Often he brought dinner for Ariana or offered to lend a hand around the house. At the time, I felt grateful, even thanking him for his support, convinced he was just being a considerate brother, helping Ariana manage while I toiled through my exhausting shifts. In retrospect, I was painfully naive. The warning signs were there, plain as day. Ariana's wardrobe subtly shifted. She started wearing more makeup, even on laid-back weekends. Her phone, once just an accessory, became almost an extension of her hand, and she began taking calls in private. For the first time in our relationship, she set a password on her phone, explaining it was necessary for work security. Our once vibrant intimacy faded to a mere shadow of what it had been. Excuses became common. She was too tired, stressed, or plagued by headaches. I noticed unfamiliar lingerie in her drawer, not overly seductive, but certainly not her usual style. When I questioned it, she brushed it off, claiming her friend Luna had recommended a more comfortable brand. I believed her without hesitation. Conversations about her day grew scarce. Where she once eagerly shared stories of work or amusing lunch encounters, now she dismissed my questions with a brief, fine, or busy. If I pressed, she accused me of being paranoid. I made excuses. We were both under immense pressure. My grueling hospital shifts stretched beyond 60 hours a week, and Ariana had assumed more responsibilities at work. We were also trying to have a child again, a shared dream that only seemed to heighten the tension. Never, not once, did I suspect Ashton, my own brother. The truth didn't explode into my life in some dramatic confrontation. Instead, It seeped in quietly, almost mockingly. Our anniversary was approaching, and I planned a surprise for Ariana. I swapped shifts with a colleague, picked up her favorite sunflowers and a bottle of champagne, and drove home early. It was just after 2 in the afternoon when I turned onto our street, immediately spotting Ashton's BMW in our driveway. I assumed he was dropping something off, but Ariana's car was also in the garage. She was home. A fleeting thought crossed my mind. Maybe she wasn't feeling well, and Ashton was just helping. Entering through the garage with my code, I found the house quiet, a faint melody drifting from upstairs. Holding the flowers and champagne, I climbed the stairs, eager to surprise her. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. Inside I saw them, not tangled in a compromising embrace, but something far worse. They lay on our bed, the bed I had paid for within the home I had built. Ashton lounged in his underwear, one arm wrapped around Ariana, who wore nothing but my old medical school t-shirt. They were sharing wine, laughing at something on her phone, completely at ease, perfectly content. I stood frozen in the doorway. They hadn't noticed me. They looked happy, happier than I had seen Ariana in months. That realization struck me like a physical blow. Finally, I stepped forward, pushing the door open. Their laughter evaporated, replaced by shock, guilt, and, from Ashton, a flicker of irritation at being interrupted. Ariana scrambled for the sheets, her expression crumbling into tears, while Ashton remained casually unbothered, his lips twisting into a smile. "How long?" I asked, my voice little more than a whisper. Ariana began to cry, but Ashton merely smiled, a condescending curve to his lips. "Come on, man," he muttered, as if we were bickering over a trivial matter. I don't recall letting go of the champagne, but the sharp crash of glass against the hard wood was deafening. The sunflowers followed, their golden petals scattering across the floor. Ariana's pleas became muffled noise, senseless, meaningless. 7 months, I would later discover. 7 months of lies, of betrayal cloaked in brotherly kindness. "We didn't mean for it to happen," Ariana sobbed. "It just did." Ashton eventually stood, his expression annoyingly calm. He reached out, perhaps intending to console me, but I slapped his hand away. "We were going to tell you, we just didn't know how," he offered, his tone dripping with false sympathy. My patience snapped. "Get out of my house!" I snarled, my chest tightening, fury and heartbreak crashing over me. The moment Ariana begged for a calm discussion, I was beyond reason. Ignoring her pleas, I grabbed Ashton's clothes and flung them into the hallway. "You have 2 minutes to leave or I'll make you regret staying," I declared, my voice steely and unforgiving. For the first time, I saw a flicker of real fear in his eyes, something I never imagined he was capable of. Panic seized them, and they scrambled to get dressed and escape. I descended the stairs, snatched a garbage bag, and began stuffing it with Ariana's belongings. By the time they stumbled downstairs, I had already filled 3 bags and was tearing into a 4th. "Wesley, please!" Ariana cried, her voice cracking with desperation. "We need to talk." "Talk?" I snapped, my words sharp as shattered glass. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary, burning dinner. What you did was deliberate. A choice you made repeatedly for 7 months. Their possessions, now crammed into trash bags, were hauled out the door. I changed the locks before the sun set. As I swept up the shards of the broken champagne bottle, a glint caught my eye, an anniversary card buried in Ariana's nightstand. The generic message inside, preaching about love's endurance, was almost laughable. Her handwritten note read, "Forever yours, Ariana." The audacity sent a fresh wave of anger through me. I naively expected support from my family, a shred of loyalty. My mother was the first to call. Still reeling, I answered, but her words were a slap to the face. "Ashton is devastated," she began, without a hint of concern for me. "My wife was cheating on me with my brother," I stated, disbelief lacing every word. A pause, then her response struck like a knife. "Well, maybe if you hadn't been so busy working, Ariana wouldn't have felt so lonely." She didn't stop. "You know, Ashton and Ariana share so much, both outgoing, creative. You've always been intense. Maybe this is for the best." My own mother not only excused their betrayal but pinned the blame on me. Shattered, I ended the call, hurling my phone against the wall. I sank onto the cold kitchen floor and broke down, sobs tearing out of me, raw and unrestrained. The next day, my father's voice crackled over the landline. "This family drama is bad for business," he announced, ever the pragmatic businessman. "Ashton regrets how you found out. But what's done is done. We need to manage this quietly." "The way I found out?" I echoed, venom in my voice. "The problem isn't how I found out. It's that my brother was sleeping with my wife." "Wesley," he sighed, patronizing. "These things happen in families. The key is to maintain dignity. No one needs the details. We'll simply say you and Ariana grew apart, and eventually she and Ashton found comfort in each other." A hollow laugh escaped me. "So you want to rewrite history to protect Ashton's image? Figures." "I'm trying to protect all of us," he insisted, "including you." "I don't care about appearances," I spat. "As far as I'm concerned, I no longer have a brother or parents." I ended the call. In the weeks that followed, I was a storm of rage and legal paperwork. I filed for divorce immediately, citing adultery and explicitly naming Ashton, a move that made their betrayal public record, a stain on my family's obsession with reputation. I ignored Ariana's tearful voicemails and blocked her number. Ashton tried showing up at my door once. I met him on the porch with a baseball bat and a promise. If he stepped onto my property again, he'd be spending weeks sipping meals through a straw. He left abruptly, his departure a relief I couldn't deny. I had neither the patience nor the strength to endure another moment of his insufferable ego. Back at the hospital, my coworkers cast worried glances in my direction, their silent concern impossible to ignore. But I met their gaze with a practiced smile and the same empty reassurance. "I'm fine." A lie I had told so often that at times even I began to believe it. Rather than face the chaos inside me, I drowned myself in work, volunteering for extra shifts, anything to escape the oppressive silence of my own home. On the few days I wasn't at the hospital, I found myself at the gym, unleashing my frustration on the heavy bag instead of his face. Each punch, each bead of sweat, felt like a momentary release, but no amount of pain could erase the reality of what had happened. Then the email arrived, the one from my mother that set everything spinning. Its subject line struck like a cold blade. "The engagement." My chest tightened the moment I saw it, dread already gnawing at me as I clicked. "Wesley, Ashton, and Ariana have announced their engagement. They're planning a June wedding at the country club, and your father and I are hosting. We know this is difficult, but Ashton has asked you to be his best man. Despite everything, he still sees you as his brother. He wants you at his side on his special day. They're willing to forgive you for the pain you caused. This is an opportunity to mend what's broken. Family should stand together. Please call me when you're ready. Mom." The words blurred before my eyes. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, a searing pressure building at my temples. "Forgive me? Best man?" I muttered in disbelief. After everything they'd done, they expected me to stand by their side. I wanted to laugh, but the anger burned too fiercely. They could both rot. I didn't even know how to respond. My hands trembled, rage coiling tighter within my chest. How could she ask this of me, after all they had done? I slammed the email closed, hurling my phone onto the couch. But that was always how it went with family, wasn't it? Pretend. Paper over the ruins and smile for the photos. Not this time. I shut my eyes, fists clenched so tightly that my knuckles ached. No more lies. No more pretending. I read the email 3 more times, half expecting it to change, half hoping it was some cruel prank. Officially together? Forgive me? 6 weeks, and they were already engaged? Ashton wanted me as his best man? And Ariana hadn't even waited for the ink to dry on the divorce papers. The sheer audacity was nauseating. I printed the email, taping it to the refrigerator, a stark reminder of what my family truly was. I didn't reply immediately. Instead, I returned to the gym, striking the bag until my knuckles split, desperate to feel something beyond the boiling rage. The following day, as if to mock me, a text from Ashton appeared. Got time off for the engagement party next month. Hope you can come. We need to bury the hatchet, bro. Bury the hatchet? After all of it? My grip tightened on the phone, and I nearly sent it crashing against the wall. That was the breaking point. The so-called high road had brought me nothing but heartache. My family, my brother, my ex-wife, they weren't just moving on. They were dragging me into their fantasy, demanding I endorse their betrayal. I refused. My response to my mother was direct, stripped of any pretense. Let me be clear. I will not attend any engagement party, wedding, or family event involving Ashton and Ariana. Ashton is no longer my brother, and you are no longer my parents. If you support this farce, then you've chosen him over me. Her reply was swift, thick with disappointment. You're being childish. Ashton and Ariana are in love, and Ariana is pregnant. You need to understand that life doesn't always follow your plan. Pregnant. The word struck like a sledgehammer. Ariana was carrying my brother's child, the same Ariana who had clung to me after our miscarriage, whispering that we would try again when the time was right. Apparently, the right time had come, just not with me. Hours slipped away as I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the words, numbness settling where fury had once burned. An icy numbness settled over me, a glacial detachment that seemed to insulate me from the weight of everything I had once cared about. But beneath that frozen calm, something delicate shattered. A sharp, almost imperceptible crack. It wasn't anger that surged within me, nor was it chaotic despair. Instead, it was a crystalline clarity. I finally understood, with an unyielding sense of finality, that the people I had once cherished, those I had called family, were never worthy of the agony they had caused me. They did not merit my fury, nor my forgiveness, not even a fleeting thought. That night, I made a decision. No more playing the martyr, no more turning a blind eye. To their betrayals. For far too long, I had stretched myself to the breaking point, endlessly striving to understand, to reconcile, to preserve a false peace. But the truth cut through the haze. They had cast me aside without hesitation, and it was time they grasped the depth of their loss. Even so, amidst this newfound resolve, I confronted another truth, my own pain. Pretending all was well had only deepened my own fractures. I recognized that I needed help. No longer willing to bear this burden alone, I acted on an instinct I had long ignored and reached out to a therapist. She did not offer hollow reassurances or simplistic answers. Instead, she listened, truly listened, helping me see that the storm raging within me, the betrayal, the simmering anger, the deep, throbbing sorrow, was a natural reaction to the trauma I had endured. I wasn't broken. I wasn't unhinged. I was wounded. And under her guidance, I began to reshape that pain, channeling it towards something constructive. My first move was to reclaim control over my life. I replaced my lawyer with Raymond Jennings, a divorce attorney known for his merciless approach, renowned for leaving faithless partners in financial ruin. I wanted the world to know where I stood, making it unmistakable that I would no longer be trampled. I also accepted a promotion I had once turned down, the position of Chief of Emergency Medicine. Previously, I had feared the strain it might place on my personal life, but that life was gone. With a significant salary increase, I began laying the foundation for the future I was determined to build. I sold the house, my primary investment, once a shared dream. Ariana fought for her share, but with the damning evidence of her betrayal, my lawyer systematically dismantled her claims. In the end, she walked away with far less than she had anticipated. Embracing a clean slate, I purchased a sleek, modern penthouse downtown, a space defined by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a symbol of the expansive future I was pursuing. I transformed myself as well. 6 days a week at the gym, I rebuilt my body, using the physical challenge to carve away anger and sorrow. No longer the unsuspecting man blindsided by betrayal, I traded my sensible sedan for a pre-owned Porsche 911, an indulgence, but a testament to my new priorities. I was done living for others. Dating became another avenue of reclamation. Dinners with confident, successful women, relationships that were elegant and uncomplicated. I chose upscale venues, ensuring I was seen, and word inevitably reached Ariana. Even her friend Madeline reached out, mentioning Ariana's regret. But I felt no need to respond. Instead, I posted a photo of myself at a concert Ariana and I had once planned to attend together. A subtle message: I was no longer a prisoner of the past, but I wasn't finished. I discreetly hired a private investigator to dig into Ashton's investment firm, the business he had established with my parents' backing. The findings were bleak: questionable investments, dubious financial statements, proof of a man who believed himself beyond consequence. Then there was my father, concealing his battle with stage 2 prostate cancer, cloaking his pride while basking in the glow of our family's celebrations. Another secret buried beneath the polished surface. And as always, there was Ariana. I heard the news through a roundabout way. She had lost the pregnancy at 10 weeks. For a brief moment, I felt a faint stir of sympathy, a flicker of understanding. I knew that pain all too well, a wound that still ached from when we had experienced the same loss. But then reality tightened its grip. She was no longer the woman I had once adored. Betrayal had shattered the world we built, leaving something within me irreparably damaged. That fleeting compassion turned cold, solidifying into resolve. She needed to confront the weight of her choices. 2 weeks before the grand engagement party my parents had planned at the country club, my phone lit up. Ariana's name appeared on the screen. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won out. Her voice was small, tentative, piercing the silence. "Wesley, please don't hang up. What do you want?" I kept my voice even, masking the simmering anger beneath. "I lost the baby," she admitted, her voice cracking, followed by the unmistakable sound of quiet sobs. "And Ashton, he's different now. Distant." She continued, words tumbling one after another. "I'm not sure he ever genuinely wanted a child. Maybe it was just about having something of his own, something that wasn't yours." I listened, letting her words drift into the silence between us. Sympathy was what she sought, but I had none to offer. "Your mom, she's been unbearable. She implied it was my fault, that I hadn't looked after myself. As if I wanted this to happen." Her voice wavered. "I know you despise me. You have every reason to. I miss you. I miss us. Losing you was the worst mistake I ever made." "Anything else?" I asked, voice sharp and unyielding. Silence, then a hesitant confession. "Ashton's business is failing. Clients are pulling out. And your father, he's sick, refusing treatment. Everything's falling apart." I let the weight of her words hang in the air. "Seems like you chose your path, Ariana. Now you get to walk it, with my brother." I didn't wait for her response. The call ended. My heart raced, the pieces of the puzzle aligning faster than I'd imagined. It was time. The evening of the engagement celebration arrived, a black-tie spectacle at the country club with over 200 guests filling the grand hall. Despite my father's health struggles and Ashton's business woes, my parents spared no expense for their golden son and his bride-to-be. I wasn't officially invited, but that was a minor obstacle. In the weeks leading up, I had woven a narrative of quiet acceptance, crossing paths with family friends and offering my genuine congratulations. Family is family, I would say, with a melancholy smile. They believed it. Poor Wesley, they whispered, so composed, despite everything. That night, I dressed to perfection. A custom-tailored navy suit, crisp white shirt, and gold cufflinks passed down from my grandfather. Months of discipline had sculpted me, stripping away the softer edges marriage had softened. In the mirror, I saw a man of sharp lines and quiet confidence. The maitre d' did not question my presence. I had secured that with a discreet exchange of $500 days before. I entered the grand ballroom without resistance, and the scene was a spectacle of opulence. Cascades of white roses, crystal chandeliers, and a ceaseless flow of champagne framed the room. I paused, taking in the view. At the head table, my father looked frail, shadows beneath his forced smile. My mother played the gracious hostess, laughter too bright and too loud. Ashton sat stiffly, eyes darting to his phone, likely tracking desperate updates from his faltering company. Ariana, swathed in designer elegance, wore a smile that failed to reach her eyes. I walked forward, each step deliberate. Conversations faltered, then fell to a hush. Curious eyes turned. A ripple of murmurs swept through the room. My name whispered from one to another, a growing wave of shock and intrigue. I wove through the bustling crowd with a courteous smile, making my way directly to the bar. "Sparkling water, please," I requested, and the bartender promptly obliged, sliding the cool glass into my grasp. Taking a measured sip, I turned to take in the scene around me. My mother noticed me first, her expression dropping so rapidly it was almost comical. Her manicured fingers tightened on my father's sleeve, drawing his attention. When his gaze followed hers and landed on me, his complexion drained of color, his body rigid with shock. Nearby, Ashton was engrossed in conversation with a sharply dressed gentleman, no doubt a potential investor given the eager intensity in his eyes. He hadn't spotted me yet. Ariana's reaction came last. A fleeting mix of emotions swept across her face. Was it relief? Hope? Panic was certainly there. I began to approach their table, sipping my drink, and an uncanny hush seemed to ripple through the room as I moved, like a held breath passing through the crowd. "Wesley?" My mother's voice came, a sharp whisper as I drew near. "What are you doing here?" My smile was warm, even pleasant. "Oh, just here to celebrate my brother's engagement. Isn't that what family does?" At that, Ashton's gaze snapped to me, his features hardening as he stood. "Are you serious, Wesley? Sit down." His voice was taut. I met his anger with calm. "Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble." My attention shifted to Ariana. "Congratulations, Ariana. You look beautiful. Engagement suits you. Oh, but wait." I tilted my head slightly. "You're not married yet, are you? Just engaged to my brother after spending months in an affair with him. My mistake." Ariana's face went pale, her lips parting in shock. My father's response was slower, pushing himself unsteadily to his feet, one hand braced against the table for support. "Wesley," he managed, voice tight with strain, "this is neither the time nor the place." "I couldn't disagree more," I replied, my smile unbroken. "This is the perfect time and place. Everyone who matters to you is here. Friends, colleagues, your precious reputation. Why not share the truth with them all?" I lifted my glass, letting a tense silence settle over the room. "A toast," I declared, my voice clear and steady. To the happy couple, my brother Ashton, who shared my bed with my wife for 7 months until I caught them. A ripple of shock swept through the crowd, gasps and whispers cutting through the quiet. Ariana's hand flew to her mouth, tears glistening in her eyes. I met her gaze, unwavering. And to Ariana, I continued, the woman who found a way to climb the family ladder through infidelity. A faint, stifled laugh echoed somewhere nearby. I raised my glass higher. Let's all drink to true love, built on betrayal. Silence gripped the room. No clinking of silverware, no murmurs, just a stunned stillness. I let my smile widen. And while we're at it, let's share a few more truths. My father, I gestured toward him, has cancer. But he refuses treatment because his reputation is more valuable than his life. The crowd stirred, whispers breaking out like wildfire. But I pressed on. Ashton's investment firm? Under investigation for fraud? Those impressive returns? An illusion? The quiet hum of shock escalated, worried faces exchanging looks. My gaze fell on Ariana. And the baby they were expecting? Gone. Ariana flinched as though struck, tears spilling over. I let the silence linger. As is my respect for everyone at this table. That was the moment Ashton lunged, rage twisting his face. You bastard! He roared, charging at me. But I sidestepped effortlessly, leaving him to crash into the table, glass shattering around him. You're trying to ruin everything because you're jealous! He snarled, his face flushed, breath coming in angry bursts. A genuine laugh escaped me. Jealous? I echoed, shaking my head. Of what? A failing business? A relationship founded on deception? I leaned in, voice dropping so only he and Ariana could hear. No, Ashton, I'm not jealous. I'm free. I suppose I owe you some gratitude for doing me an unexpected favor, removing a faithless woman from my life. I turned to leave, but Ariana lunged forward, clutching my arm. Wesley, please, she implored, her voice a fragile blend of panic and desperation. We have to talk. Things aren't what they seem. Ashton, he's not the man I thought he was. He's changed, she insisted. My gaze fell to her fingers gripping my sleeve before rising to meet her pleading eyes. That's the nature of... Liars and betrayers, Ariana, I replied, my voice calm and measured. They don't just deceive once, it becomes who they are. I gently freed myself from her grasp and stepped away. Chaos erupted behind me, a cacophony of raised voices. My mother's frantic attempts to restore order, my father's strained breaths, Ashton's enraged denials about his failing business, an escalating turmoil I had no desire to endure. Stepping outside, the crisp night air met me, sharp and clear, a welcome contrast to the suffocating disorder I had left behind. Without a word, I handed my valet ticket to the attendant, allowing the refreshing breeze to cleanse me. Gradually, guests began to emerge from the ballroom, their expressions a mixture of shock and confusion. Some hurried away, whispering in hushed tones, while others lingered, piecing together the evening's chaos. A few of my parents' closest friends passed by, offering me subdued nods of sympathy. As I waited by the curb, my phone vibrated. 3 messages arrived in quick succession. The first was from Ariana. Please call me. I made a horrible mistake. I want to fix this. The next was Ashton. You'll regret this, brother, I swear. Finally, from my mother. Your father collapsed. We're taking him to the hospital. Is this what you wanted? I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering momentarily before I deleted all 3 messages. No response, no acknowledgement, just gone. The next morning, the barrage of calls began. By the time the hospital contacted me, I was already at work. My father had been admitted to my own hospital. As chief of emergency medicine, I was notified automatically. Yet I didn't rush downstairs. I didn't even visit. I assigned his case to another attending physician. competent, impartial. Later, I reviewed the report. Stable condition, but he would finally require the surgery he'd stubbornly avoided for months. Meanwhile, Ashton's world unraveled. His business partners abandoned him one by one, and the SEC launched a formal investigation, turning whispered rumors into public scandal. Ariana left their shared apartment, fleeing either the shame or him, perhaps both. Weeks passed, and the pleas were relentless. Ashton's voicemails cycled from fury to remorse, admitting his envy since childhood, begging for help with his legal crisis. My mother's emails alternated between guilt-laden reproaches. "Your father might not survive. Are you just going to do nothing?" And attempts at reconciliation. "This family needs healing. You belong with us, Wesley." But Ariana was the most persistent. She appeared at the hospital, twice, at my gym. Even in the lobby of my new penthouse, her eyes swollen, holding a coffee cup as though it could erase betrayal. Her long, dark waves were gone, replaced by a severe, short bob that aged her. The designer dresses vanished too, replaced by plain, simple outfits. She was trying to resurrect the woman I had loved in college, the woman she assumed I still missed. But that woman was gone, along with any lingering affection I once felt. One evening, leaving the hospital, I saw her again, waiting by the parking lot. "Wesley, please, just 5 minutes," she pleaded, stepping into my path, her hands outstretched. I didn't slow down. "I have nothing to say to you." "Ashton was a mistake," she cried, trailing after me. "A terrible mistake. He never loved me. He just wanted what you had. As soon as you were gone, he changed. He stayed out all night, flirted with other women, right in front of me." Her words were distant echoes as I continued walking. "When I lost the baby," her voice broke, "he was relieved. He actually said, 'Maybe it was for the best.'" I stopped and turned to face her. "And you're surprised?" I asked, my tone unyielding. "Did you truly expect a man who could betray his own brother to suddenly become loyal to you?" Ariana shrank back, as though my words had struck her like a physical blow. Her voice wavered, fragile and trembling beneath the weight of her tears. "I deserve that," she whispered, hurriedly wiping away the damp streaks on her cheeks. "I know I do. But Wesley, what we had, it was real. I believe we can still mend this." A bitter, humorless chuckle escaped me. "Mend it?" I repeated, letting the words linger, cold and sharp. "There's nothing left to mend, Ariana. You didn't just crack something fragile. You shattered it." I stepped closer, my tone steadying into a chilling calm. "And you know the worst part? I'm relieved you did, because now I see everything clearly. Who you are, who my family truly is. And I'm far better off without any of you." Her tears flowed more freely now. "You can't mean that," she choked out, searching my face for a trace of hesitation, some hint of the man she once knew. But I didn't waver. "Every word," I affirmed, tugging the keys from my pocket and turning away. After weeks of ignored calls, unread messages, and unannounced visits, I finally agreed to meet them, but strictly on my terms. A neutral setting, stripped of any familiar ground they might use against me. A quiet private dining room in an upscale downtown restaurant. Isolated, controlled. They arrived together. Ashton looked haggard, his suit rumpled, his hair a disordered mess, anxiety radiating from him. My mother's face was pale, drawn tight with worry, her thin fingers nervously twisting a silk scarf. And trailing slightly behind them was Ariana, hesitant, unsure, as though already sensing she didn't belong. "Thank you for agreeing to see us," my mother began, her voice quivering beneath a forced smile. "We know you're upset, but we're family. We can get through this." A thin, cold smile touched my lips. "Upset? That's long gone. I've moved beyond that. Now there's only indifference." and that's a far deeper chasm. Ashton leaned forward, elbows on the table, trying to summon a veneer of brotherly charm, but it crumbled under his desperation. Wesley, I messed up. I know that. But I'm drowning here. The SEC is all over me. Investors are suing, and my reputation, it's ruined. His voice cracked, and he swallowed hard. I need your help. My brow arched slightly, a gesture of distant curiosity. Help? And just how am I supposed to do that, Ashton? You went to school with Travis Monroe, he blurted, clinging to a lifeline. He's with the SEC now. If you talk to him, explain I made mistakes, but I'm not some criminal. A sharp, mirthless laugh escaped me. But you are a criminal, Ashton. Your firm was a glorified Ponzi scheme. Travis showed me the evidence himself. His face drained of color, his voice barely a whisper. You've spoken to him already? Of course, I said, leaning back, a finality in my tone. You always taught me the importance of being thorough. My mother's hand flew to her chest, a pained gasp tearing from her lips. Wesley, please. Your father's health is failing. This stress is killing him. No, I corrected, my voice stripped of sympathy. The cancer is killing him. The same cancer he could have treated months ago if preserving his precious image hadn't mattered more. A suffocating silence settled over the room. Ariana hadn't spoken yet. She stared at her clasped hands, her knuckles white, fingers shaking as though they held the answers she sought. I shifted my gaze to her. And you, Ariana? What is it you want? Her head jerked up, red-rimmed eyes glistening. I want another chance, she whispered, her voice raw and unsteady. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking. I made a terrible mistake. Which one? I asked, my words sharp and cold. Sleeping with my brother? Getting caught? Or realizing the golden boy you chose over me is nothing but a fraud? She winced, her voice cracking. All of it. I fell for his charm, his attention. You were always busy, and he was always there, saying what I wanted to hear. So you fell, I said flatly. And now you've lost everything. I let my gaze drift over them. Ashton, my mother, Ariana, their faces etched with desperation, silently begging for the man I used to be, the one who would have tried to fix everything. But that man was gone. Here's what I'm going to do, I declared, my voice slicing through the oppressive tension. Nothing. I will continue living my life, a very good, very successful life, without any of you in it. Ashton's jaw dropped, his shock paralyzing him. My mother leaned forward, trembling visibly. Ariana's expression barely shifted, perhaps because somewhere deep down she already knew this was how it would end. Ashton. I fixed my gaze on him, the weight of my words unmistakable. You're going to have to face the consequences of your decisions, both legally and beyond. His mouth began to open, reflexively seeking a defense, but I had already shifted my focus. Mom, I continued, voice steady but unyielding, you will be the one responsible for caring for Dad. It's time to accept that your perfect son is nothing more than a deceiver. My attention then moved to Ariana. Her eyes held mine, unflinching. And as for you, Ariana, I said, maintaining my composure, you'll continue with your life, but it won't be with me. Please, Ashton's voice cracked, a tremor of desperation seeping through. At least help with Dad. His treatments are costly, and with my accounts frozen, I've already taken care of his medical expenses. I interrupted him, my tone resolute. But that's not for you. Not for Mom. Only for Dad. Because despite everything, he is still my father. He was the one who fed me when I was a child. This is nothing more than repayment. The costs are settled. He will receive the finest care available. But this doesn't alter anything between us. Our story is over. My mother's silent tears transformed into audible sobs. Wesley, Please, we're sorry, all of us. I know, I replied, rising to my feet. But there is a crucial difference between being sorry for what you've done and being sorry for facing the consequences. Most of you are simply regretting that you got caught. I retrieved a neat stack of $100 bills from my wallet, setting it on the table, a sum sufficient for several meals. Don't contact me again. I've already notified my lawyer, the security at my building, and the hospital. Taking one last look around the table, I declared, "This is the final time we speak." With that, I turned away. Behind me, Ariana's voice broke, laced with desperation. "Wesley, you can't just abandon us like this, please." I stopped, glanced back just once. "I'm not abandoning you," I said, my tone unwavering. "You all let me go a long time ago. I'm just acknowledging it now." Outside, my Porsche awaited, engine humming with quiet anticipation. Leaning against it was the woman who had rekindled light in my life, a gifted neurosurgeon, kinder in a single day than my family had been in years. A person I knew would never betray me. Her smile was warm as I slid into the driver's seat beside her, her fingers intertwining with mine in a gentle, reassuring squeeze. "How did it go?" she asked. "It's over," I exhaled, a sense of finality settling over me. Completely over. As we drove away, I caught a final glimpse of them on the sidewalk, stunned, shattered, left behind. The traffic light changed, and I pressed down on the accelerator, the world pulling me forward, away from the past for good. Our story comes to an end here. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you enjoyed this story, please check out other videos on this channel. See you soon, my dear friend.